I wish I can get my brothers to wake up. I really do. Because you don't have to be in it to advocate for it or against something. As a matter of fact, I believe that the people that advocate or the ones that should be at the forefront of the movement are the ones that got the biggest voices. Meaning that if I see my brother suffering, I don't have to go through it in order to make sure that he get the information that he need to get himself out of it, or more importantly, proactively protect himself from getting in that situation in the first place. Anton, what are you talking about? Why is this important? Why is this something that you're so adamant about as far as not becoming a step crash dummy? Because that's exactly what it is. You are becoming a step crash dummy. When you decide that you want to throw your hat in the ring and raise another man's child just because you love his mother or you think that you love his mother at the time, you then become a step crash dummy. I think that I might even trademark the term step crash dummy, because it's unfortunate how many of y'all are actually finding yourselves in this uncomfortable and this unfortunate situation at the behest, and then you remove responsibility from the person that ultimately opened up her legs to somebody that she wasn't supposed to be with in the first place. First of all, let me just state my position on this. You need to marry before you carry. Now, I know that you can't necessarily stop people from opening up their legs, and it's always been women for the street. So first we got to learn how to get back to classifying a woman that you're supposed to be with and looked at as a wife from a woman that's for the streets. And I'm not one to mince words, so I'm not going to sit here and play games with y'all and act like it's all cool, because it's not. It's not cool. It's not cool to have children out of wedlock. It never has been, never will be. And all it does is create broken families and broken homes. And whenever I get on social media or a video drop or somebody chop up my stuff and they put it on Instagram or they put it on TikTok, and I see all of the uncomfortable baby mamas and the simp in the comments, I enjoy it. And the reason that I enjoy it is because only hit dogs holler. Only hit dogs holler. If I say, listen, never get with a single baby mama, and a majority of the women are having children with a minority of the men, especially in the black community, and then I see a whole bunch of people getting mad and hollering about it, I know why. Either one or two scenarios is happening there. Either you were raised in a broken household and then you had to have a step baby daddy come in and save the day, or you are one of the ones that continue to perpetuate some of the worst things for the culture that we know, statistically speaking, is not best for the children. You know, but you selfish that your kid is more likely to go to jail, more likely to be in a gang, less likely to ever graduate college, more likely to need therapy, always is going to yearn for the person that ultimately made them look like them. But you deny them that opportunity. And now, for the longest, we've also leveraged family court against the parents of the ones that ultimately had the children. And so you tied yourself to the federal government by allowing for them to take care of your children and take the children out of the household. And I think that this is one of the most important conversations that we need to have. Even though we talked about Kamala Harris, even though we talked about these cities on fire, the core root of a lot of these problems is these broken households. And we don't want to continue to have a conversation. And you think that the solution is remixing everything and saying, well, we need to get more men to take responsibility and ownership of what's happening inside of these households. So it's better a father than a nun. But that's not the core root of the problem. That's not how you solve for the problem. The problem is that people are opening up their legs to a small minority in the population. And see, that's the biggest myth. The myth is, well, we need to hold both parties accountable. Men by default are held accountable. If you don't pay child support, you're going to jail. I have never heard of in my life, and maybe y'all can educate me. Maybe it's some kind of case that I'm not familiar with. I have never heard of a woman going to jail because she didn't pay child support. But I've heard of men that are required to be on child support for children that we even know that's not theirs, or men deciding to adopt the child and then ultimately breaking up with his mother. And then what happens? He gets on child support, so then he becomes responsible for taking care of a child that's not even his. I see celebrities all the time getting took to the cleaners in the form of child support, even if they have a prenuptial agreement, because prenups don't omit you from having to make sure that that child still has some kind of lifestyle. I see that happening. I see women all across the board. Listen, if somebody says, man, I'm tired of these single baby daddies out here populating the earth, I'm going to be like, I'm with you. You know why? Because I'm not a single baby daddy. I'm not a person that's out here having children out of wedlock. As a matter of fact, I was so deathly afraid because I seen what was happening to guys earlier in my life when I was a young lad. I was seeing what was happening to guys and how much of their paycheck was being taken by the federal government as a result of having to pay child support. I said, ooh, wee, Anton ain't never going to have to bring a kid home out of wedlock. That just can't happen. But I have these dudes out here that is willing to argue me down. They are willing to argue me down. Like, for example, I had a conversation on Let's Rant About It. Shout out to Randy Rosario. I had a conversation on Let's Rant About It where I was basically going back and forth with a few different people. It was almost like, I'm not going to say that. I had a conversation where I was going back and forth with a few different people, and they were arguing with me about remixing the whole idea of what a solid foundation for a household and a child being raised in that household is. Why would you be arguing with me about the proper way to raise a child? That makes no sense. If I say that I would never, ever advocate for somebody else to do something that I wouldn't do myself, that's literally taking responsibility and ownership. So I've been married since I was 22 years old. I'm 42 today. I just celebrated my 20th anniversary. Never had a child out of wedlock. Had one daughter and then went and got a vasectomy in order to make sure that I wasn't having another child, or wasn't a possibility that the birth control could fail if we then got her on birth control. And so, we dedicated ourselves. We made sure that we put every single thing into our child and that she has every opportunity in order to succeed. She's 16 years old today as a recording of this video. And when she goes to college, she will never have to worry about student loans, because we didn't want to break up resources in raising multiple different kids in order to ensure that she had the education that she was supposed to. So we were responsible adults. We were taking care of business. And don't you know that they monetize your pain, that basically you're creating new slaves? I think that one of the reasons why we got immigration into this country, illegal immigration into this country, not just because this reason and that reason, but I'm going to stay on topic. I believe that one of the reasons why we got illegal immigration into this country is because we need new workers. We need people to fill these jobs. We need people to go and get your Starbucks. We need people to go and deliver your Amazon. And there's nothing wrong with working. But what I'm telling you is that when you have children out of wedlock that then become a part of the prison industrial system, when you have children out of wedlock and they yearn for their father, and we look at the statistics, and when you have children out of wedlock and they don't have the ability to be able to, and of course I know that it's a possibility, and I know that there's some anomalies, but we got to speak to the majority and not the minority. When you have children that ultimately have to take out student loans and then they start to ask Biden for student loan forgiveness, and then they're basically being held over a barrel because if you don't vote for me, then it's a possibility you won't get your student loans forgiven, which Biden didn't forgive your student loans. The taxpayers did, because that came out of our money. We don't want you dependent on the system, but they do, because they can then monetize it. They can use you. They can leverage your emotions in order to get into office, in order to make more money, in order to continue to create a slave culture, to have y'all crying on TikTok and whining about the fact that you can't afford to go to work every day because your car note is too high. We're creating slaves through ignorance, through single baby mamas. We're having people vote on what's not in the best interest and going against traditional values because they remixing what God has ordained for us to do in order to have a successful marriage, in order to be successfully married. And why won't we embrace the people that are doing it the right way when they tell you they got a blueprint of what it takes in order to be successfully married and to raise children? I think you should listen. No, but we taking all of our advice from single baby mamas that do not have a success or track record of success. And what you would rather advocate for is for a woman to break up her family, which we know that women largely are the ones that file for divorce. This is a statistical fact. This is not me giving you my opinion, so you don't have to worry about getting all bent out of shape about it. But we know that this is real. We know that you file for divorce for whatever reason, that people are breaking up their families. They remixing the word of God and saying that, yo, you can go and have children out of wedlock. Hey, you can wear a white dress on your wedding day, even though you for the streets. You can have multiple different baby daddies. And then some simp is going to come along and say, you know what, I'm with it, because we can save them. Listen, it's about the kids. It's about love. Until that kid say, you ain't my daddy, then you're going to get mad about it. You're going to be feeling some type of way about it. Yeah, you're going to be upset about it when he say, you ain't my daddy. Or when you get with her, and then like a video that I seen, a dude is running up on a dude in a barber shop and he about to crash out because the dude then took his son to the barber and the dude is trying to tell him, hey man, call his mama. You don't want that problem. You don't want that trouble. It's no way in the world that I, in good conscience, can tell a guy that is on his grind, on his grizzly, taking care of business, did the right thing, because most women passed up on the man that they were supposed to marry in the first place. There's no way in the world that I can tell a man, hey man, I want you to go over there with all of the options that you have because you are going to get better with time and your earning potential is not even at its apex until you in your late 50s, early 60s. There's no way that I in good conscience can tell this man, hey man, go and pick you out a single baby mama and be unintentional about that, even though you've been intentional about taking care of business your entire life. What sense does that make? And then what you do when you advocate for this is you validate bad behavior because you're letting people say, listen, I can come back or I can do or make a wrong decision and decide to come back from that by then getting some other man to take care of my children or to accept us as a package deal when I should have never been doing this in the first place. What equal means is that we take equal responsibility for every decision in our lives. Anton, what's the solution? Go back with your baby daddy. Never have children out of wedlock in the first place. Go back to the man that actually said that he loved you when he was busting you down. No. I'm not going to advocate for, and there's no way that you ever going to tell me that it makes sense for a man to go and wife up a single baby mama because it is a thankless job. And I stand on that.